After a rain. After a rain, I yank weeds in the flower bed. Crabgrass and foxtail, the usual suspects.
Twyla Hansen wrote this poem about this place, her North Lincoln backyard.
Seedlings of maple and ash, my own private forest, which undeniably multiplies beneath the windbreak I planted years ago.
She and her husband Tom made their yard into an urban wildlife habitat,
where, thanks to birds, scores of young cedar, mulberry, wild cherry now tangle.
It's a collision of two worlds that help define the life of Nebraska's new state poet.
As a child, I welcomed those helicopters, gathered them and climbed into the height of the windmill to send a bucketful twirling toward the gravel farmyard.
Thank you all for being here. I am humbled and honored by this.
Hansen grew up on a farm in northeast Nebraska, never interested in being a writer. She thought about teaching, nursing, then finally decided on studying horticulture at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. This landed her at Nebraska Wesleyan University as grounds manager. Fate, luck, whatever you call it, but when Hansen used an employee benefit and took free classes at Wesleyan, some of the first were with English professor Bill Clefcorn, Nebraska's state poet at the time. Hansen started writing and didn't stop.
On a wooded trail, the small
I've always kind of liked words. You have to be a little bit of a word nerd to be a writer. And words fascinate me. Language people use fascinates me. It doesn't apparently seem like there's a connection between horticulture and writing, but there really is. And everything, I think, in a writer's life is food for poetry. So when you are landscaping, for example, you use balance, color, form. You're thinking of the end result of what you're doing to enhance a landscape. In some ways, you write a poem, it's the same way. You send it out into the world, and you never know how it will come back to you, but it does often.
Hansen has sent a lot of these poems out into the world in numerous periodicals and her own books, two of which have earned Nebraska Book Awards. But it was more than a list of accomplishments that impressed the committee charged with choosing a state poet for the governor to appoint.
I think of the finalists for the position, Twyla really represented the poet that really thought the most about how to take poetry and this position to the people of Nebraska. I think she has an ambitious agenda.
The most written about subject in poetry.
There's a lot of this, working with Lincoln 8th graders during a writing workshop. But Hansen also wants to use social media and new technology to reach new audiences, maybe even a future state poet. That's the how. Hansen says the what is being an advocate for creative writing, with an emphasis on process more than product.
What's the setting of your story? Jot that down. You pay attention to language in a special way when you write poems. But it's a process. You have to start, and you can't just talk about it. You have to actually write.
You'll find evidence in a spare bedroom in Hansen's house that's now her writing studio. Next to an easy chair are shelves full of notebooks with phrases, words, little starting points for poems.
Just getting the words on the page is the most important thing. And then you can work from there. And even if I write a poem and it isn't successful, I never throw it away, because there could be a time when that phrase will come back around, or those words, or some of the ideas in the poem will find another way to make it into a poem. And Father, recalling the dirty 30s.
Many are like After a Rain, poems about nature and the land, and not always the pretty things. Because Twyla Hansen, writer, landscaper, and now Nebraska state poet, says poets ought to have a little dirt under their fingernails.
If I spread my arms, I could more or less abandon myself to the wind.